Welcome to Quit to Win, the show where we explore the moment people have to let go of destructive pattern, limiting identity, and the internal battle in order to rebuild their life with purpose and clarity. Our three guests is Michele Novack, founder of CardinalsByte, a woman-owned cybersecurity firm helping small business and professionals navigate compliance and digital protection, author of 21 Days of Abundance and Overcoming the Fear of Entrepreneurship, and a 30-year veteran of leadership in the financial and cybersecurity sector. But her story isn't just about firework and compliance framework. Michele left a career when the culture shifted and the priority no longer matched her own. That moment of misalignment became the doorway to everything she has built since. A company, a mission, and a message about mindset, resilience, and living your best life. It's really a pleasure and honor having you, Michele.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you
Looking
so much.
forward to having the conversation today. I think it's great.
Thank you so much, Michele. So, Michele, you spent 30 years building a career in leadership and finance. When the culture shifted, what exactly changed, and when did you know it was no longer at your place?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, 30 years in finance, you learn a lot, right? Especially in the corporate world. But
Yeah,
I knew it was shifting way before it even happened. Um, with technology and everything, you're talking 10 years ago. I mean, there was a very progressive move in the financial world to build in to a lot of what we were doing technology, right? Technology started to take over, started to transform businesses. They started to get more and more into the transformation phase of what they can automate, how they can scale out. And I was a auditor, right, from a very large company. And I was out in the field, but I saw that transition. I saw the restructuring of that business changing rapidly. People, friends of mine, were, you know, being let go. They were downsizing the departments. So I decided to go back to school, right? Like I was very lucky that I worked for a company that was very progressive. So I first started to kind of work within that company in their what they call tech university, and kind of scale and start learning a different skill because I knew I had to.
yeah,
And that's what got me into cybersecurity. But when that pink slip came, I kind of, you still are devastated, right? You
yeah,
don't, you got to kind of jump in. So, there was that transition, there was that time period. I was still in school, I was still building my skill set as a cyber engineer. But, you transition, you figure it out, you find a way. But I was thankful that I already had to work on that skill set that I had and continue to grow with
yeah.
it. But it was a journey. You don't know where to go from there. You
Mm.
kind of just stop.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thanks for sharing. So, what identity had you built inside that career, and what did walking away from it require you to release?
Well, the identity I built is who I am, right? You learn to find out who
Yeah,
you are through that journey, right? I've written books, shifting your mindset to 21 days of abundance. That was my own personal journey through that entire time, but really reflecting on myself and who I was and what I needed to become. Trying to find my self worth, which, if you don't love yourself, you can't do anything
yeah,
else, right? We all build our identities around our careers, our
yeah,
families, what we think we want. And what you find when you really hit rock bottom is none of that matters, right? My book acts as a recalibration tool for the subconscious, basically,
mm,
right? Rather than a dense theoretical structure, you're taking actionable guides that I had to do for myself, looking at myself in a mirror and saying, "Who am I?"
yeah,
Right? You know, and it's designed, for that person to move from a scarcity lens, if you would, and focus on what's lacking to an abundance lens,
mm,
focusing on an opportunity and building that flow into your life. So that's kind of where I am now, right? And then you asked another question, and I'm sorry, repeat the second part of that question because I know that I kind of answered the first part.
Yeah. And what did walking away from it require you to release?
So it required me to release the sadness,
Mm,
the trauma, the years of everything I was told, right? The mental muscle
yeah.
that we have,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and and sees wealth in all its forms. Like that's what it required me to release was really that
Yeah.
reflection of what I was, and
Mm,
that was hard,
amazing. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's really hard being that you have built something for the whole year and having to let go of every of those particular things you've learned or into the career. Yeah, it's a lot. Which I'm just imagining what would I be like. So you're right about overcoming the fear of entrepreneurship. What were you most afraid of when you finally decide to go?
Listen, when you decide to start your own business, and a lot of people will tell you you're crazy, right? It takes a
Yeah.
special kind of person to want to go out and be an entrepreneur and then start a business and scale that and continue with it because it's not something that's easy to do. I've been a bootstrapper for a long time, right? My
Yeah.
business was built on bootstrapping. Gritty bootstrapper who's overcome financial restructuring to build an AI platform and and help small businesses turn that technical paralysis into operational resilience. It's something that you have to shift that mindset completely because it comes with nights of crying, nights of self-doubting, nights of stress, concern. Am I doing the right thing? How do I find my clients? How do I do this? Right? How do I keep going when you know I don't know if you even do the right thing. You know, Overcoming your fears as an entrepreneur, that title served as a tactical manual for me to overcome the emotional hurdles of being a business owner, right? It addresses the specific monsters that haunt us all: the fear of failure, the
Yeah.
fear of judgment, right? An imposter syndrome, which I definitely had.
Yeah.
Nothing strikes going. Who am I? Why? The focus the focus is on transforming fear from that paralyzing force into an informative signal that helps guide decision making and growth. One of the things I'll tell you that I learned throughout my journey so far is what is transformational and what is transactional, and separating
Mm,
that. And what I mean by that is, Steve Jobs, I think, said it best, right? He used to focus 90% of his time on signal and 10% on noise, right?
yeah.
And it's about him building his business. And, like, I think once I understood what it was and meant to be a entrepreneur, I had to build myself structure. I had into my day, right? This time of day I got to do this. This time of day I got to do that. This time of day, and I have my calendar built around that. Sometimes you weave off of it, but you make sure that you're consistent because I'll tell you this: if you're not consistent in what you do every day, it's going to reflect through the entire business and what you accomplish, right? If you don't have a set and clear path, like, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and I'm listening to news about cyber. Like, I'm scrolling, I have all these things I check because I want to understand. I need to know in my business what's going on,
Yeah.
right? And then, a lot of people jump into the emails. I don't jump into my emails until about 10 o'clock. I listen to other podcasters, people who are influential, billionaires, people who have a different mindset, so I can set my day, right? So that's what it's about. It's, the necessary hardware that you need to build into your own brain
Yeah.
to run that business effectively. And that's not
Mm,
easy. It's not, you're challenged with personal conflicts. There's things that come up in your day with people, we're human. You got to remember that. Leading
yeah.
people, talking to other people, sitting on calls like this, right? Carving out time for what's important to you. I'm surprised that a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. Amazing. Building up all the necessary hardware to be able to run the business day to day. Yeah, amazing. So you moved from a 30 years career into founding a cybersecurity firm. How did you give yourself permission to start over that leads in the game?
I had no choice. I knew
Oh.
after 30 years I did not want to work for somebody ever again. Like, of course, when you first lose your job, you panicked, you got debt, you got this, you got that. You have all these responsibilities, right? And again, it became devastating because I'm like, I had people reaching out to me. I had to redo my resume. I hadn't done a resume in over
Yeah.
27 years. You understand?
Yeah.
I had to go on interviews. I was like, do I really want to do this? And I started that process because you think that's where you're at. But honestly, I was depressed, right? I was going through the motions because I was trying to survive. And, again, writing that book and really uncovering and peeling back who I was and what I was not really helped me understand that there's no way I'm working for someone else again. I'm just not
Mm.
doing it, right? Like, and I think that was the hard liner. I didn't care, I spent my savings, my 401k, whatever it needed to take to get to where I want to be. And it doesn't come without pain. It doesn't come without risky decisions. It doesn't come without being scared. But I just knew there's no way I'm answering to anyone ever again.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was really a whole lot and a very big decision to take. And the fact that at that particular crossroads, you don't have a choice. You just have to make the decision, though it's painful and a whole lot have to be in place. And yeah, it's really
Yeah.
amazing. So you write,
I say that all the time. I say,
yeah,
you're absolutely,
yeah. So you write about abundance and mindset. How much of your ability to make that leap came from inner work versus the practical strategy?
all of it.
Hmm.
Right, your mind. So, and I tell everybody, I was just on a speaking event last Tuesday, the Well Defined Women Summit. I was on stage and we were talking about this, right? Because it's all about the mind. You know, what people don't understand and what I uncovered when I wrote my book is I really had to dig deep. And what I mean by that is I needed to understand why I made the decisions I made, why I accepted things that I accepted, why I was not in control of the choices, right? I made
Yeah.
all these choices, but I had to realize I was in control. Your mind, and I like to tell everybody, it's a computer. That's all it
Yeah.
is. Your mind doesn't know what's real and what's not real. Whatever you tell it, it's going to believe. So if I tell my mind right now, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, right? Like, you have to believe that because, again, the mind will do whatever you tell it. And once you get over that barrier and understand that your mind is a massive computer, because that's what it is,
Yeah.
you're building the software into that day by day. And I know I like to use the technical terms, but it's absolutely true. I did this exercise, right? Like, I made everybody close their eyes and keep quiet for a minute. And if you ever want to do this for yourself at home, like, just shut down your mind. Do it for 2 minutes. Put on a timer. Just close your eyes. Do nothing. Sit still. And you're going to have a million thoughts run through your mind in those 2 millions because your mind is computing.
Yeah.
And whatever those thoughts are, it's what you're thinking. It's that you can't shut it off. But you can change the direction of it. The next step of that is when you do something like that, you imagine, right? You keep your eyes closed and then you start to imagine that there's thousands and thousands of rays coming out of your brain, right? Thousands of light beams coming out of your brain, and each one of those is a thought or a choice that you have to make. And whatever you choose is that path that happens to you, right? You have control of that. And if you put it in perspective of that way, you'll look at it from a different lens. And you have to. You have to look at, the prioritizing the ability of looking at yourself from a different lens is critical. I have something that sits right on my computer, right? What do I want to do today? Am
Yeah.
I out? What do I want to do? And I know that I make those choices minute by minute, right? Again, it's recalibration.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about using the daily mental muscle and seizing it. It's you got to transform your fear. Like, Fear is real for most people, right? Like, and of course, I have fears. We all have fears, but I know when I fear something now, I know I tell my mind how to react to that fear.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the difference, right? Without that mindset and the courage, the strategy usually fails. You have to have courage.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Prioritize looking at yourself from different lens. Amazing. Amazing. So you emphasize removing negative and surrounding yourself with the right people. What did you have to quit about the relationship and environment that came with that old career?
Yeah, well, I had to quit my marriage, right? I had to block out people that didn't matter, right? People that you thought were colleagues or friends, in those careers. You find out who people really are when you find yourself first, right? When you start trusting yourself and you start validating who you are, you start to look at people in a different lens and you put up boundaries. You don't no longer accept the nonsense or the noise from them. And I think that's so critical because, you're pivoting, right? It's not just survival.
Yeah.
Adapting is a choice to what you want in your life. And once you understand what you really want, and that's hard, right? Like, again, it comes with journaling. I journaled a lot and I wrote down a lot of different things, and I had to work through all of those things, and it's not that easy to do that, but it's rewarding. And was it painful? Of course. But if I truly loved myself and I asked myself, would I accept this if it mattered? And if the answer was no, I'm not going to accept this, then you know what? You don't need to be a part of my life. Or if the answer was no, I'm not going to accept this, but there's benefits there and I can't just walk away, right? So there are some relationships that you can't walk away, but you can put up boundaries and protect what you give to that, right? With limitations. And sometimes you have to do that for the benefit of your own self preservation.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. This is really lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. Having the right people around, it's very, very key for preservation and a whole lot of things. Yeah, thank you. So lastly, you now run a company built entirely around your values, protection, empowerment, and asset. What does it feel like to work inside alignment every day?
You know, what does it feel like? I'll tell
Yeah.
you this, every day is different. But to walk in alignment with your business, it means that you have to have a front door open constantly for things to evolve, right? You have to have that mindset where you're not going to have a security guard at the front door when you're present at a meeting. You got to be you. You got to be authentic. You've got to call it what it is, but you also need to listen to people. You need to take in what they say because people's perception, and one thing I've learned is whether I agree with it or not, you need to meet people where they're at because
Yeah.
they do bring value in their own perception. Whether I like it or I don't, it's important that I listen. And it's hard to listen. We all say that we listen, and I struggle with that, right? Because most people, when you start talking, though, and you say something, it triggers them, and their mind goes to somewhere else, and they stop listening, not intentionally
Yeah.
most of the time, but unintentionally, right? So, how do you actively listen when it's important to digest, right? And I think, being in alignment means, again, creating the 5 pillars that I've always looked at, which is people, process, pride, programs, right? And then having peace, right? Like, you need to know that within your business. You need to know the people, the surroundings, the people, what they bring when you're hiring, firing, whatever it might be, right? What they can do, what they're capable of. the processes. What are your processes? Breaking them down. Where are the gaps in those processes? Understanding them. Understanding the layers that need to be tackled one moment at a time, right? And have a process for doing that. For whether it's fixing your current infrastructure or strategizing for your next 5 years or building a business plan, whatever it is. There's resources. Don't be afraid to find those people, right? Don't be afraid to go find a mentor. Don't be afraid to talk to other competitors, right? What are they doing, and aligning with them and working together to build communities, and helping people along the way. Because I think for me, it's always been about the small business community and helping them, because they're the ones who struggle the most. They don't have the resources, they don't have the internal teams to support the mandates, the regulations, the rules. So I've always prided myself on providing those trainings and the resources, the PDFs, the ebooks, whatever it might be, right? But those are the things that you have to come in alignment with when you're running a business, and it could be overwhelming, and it's very overwhelming. I don't say that there are days that don't get overwhelming. You know, I was up until almost 1 o'clock last night because I'm building out a new
Yeah.
code, and looking at it, and understanding, making those changes. It's not easy, but if you're dedicated and you enjoy what you do, because I do enjoy what I do, it doesn't become that technical
Yeah.
paralysis mindset, you say, right?
Mm. Amazing,
So,
amazing, amazing. It just speaks volumes to the fact that yeah, entrepreneurship is demanding. But if you love what you do, yes, it becomes easier, and yeah, there'll be a lot of energy being generated every now and then when you get to show up. Yeah, and having this framework we just shared is very critical. People, process, pride, programs, and peace. Yeah, it's really amazing, and thank you so much for sharing. So for my audience who would love to reach out, especially for your book, and also to actually more like follow you in your various medias and that of your business, how can they reach out, and where's the best platform?
yeah, so I'm going to say for both my books and everything else, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me on CardinalsByte. Anybody who wants to reach out to me and need some assistance, that's probably the best place to visit my website at www.cardinalbytes.com, and that's BYT. Also, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, you can do that. A lot of people do that, and I connect with them. We talk to them. You know, if you need help, I can give you some quick tidbits on how to protect your
Yeah.
business. I do a lot of web classes every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and it's live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So you can always join one of those live events as well, because we teach a lot.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Michele. It has really been amazing having this conversation. And for my audience who would love to reach out, check the show notes. You see the link to connect with her. Yeah, once again, thank you. Your story is a reminder that sometimes the quit isn't dramatic. It is quiet recognition that where you are no longer reflects who you are, and that clarity alone is enough reasons to leave. Once again, it's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show, Michele.
You're welcome. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome.